All right, I have the privilege of introducing someone that I consider a friend. I've been working with Bart for a very long time. He started out as an instructor, and that's how we kind of got to know each other. He's since moved on and doing other fun things. Bart, when we started doing these introductions, or I started thinking about how to introduce Bart, a lot of things came to my mind. Funny story, anyways. The one thing that Bart has a lot of titles and he wears a lot of hats and he likes to get involved with a lot of things. One of the things that has inspired me that Bart has done is he is involved in his community. Was it this last year that you did this? This last year he helped out in their area. They're helping the homeless in their area who have been displaced for whatever reasons. And he was working with a lot of the youth, and the youth he felt were not grasping the concept of homelessness. And so Bart decided with a handful of kids that they were going to go and live on the streets for the weekend just to show these kids how rough it really is. And this is the type of guy Bart is. They went to this, I guess there's a special program out there, but he took his backpack with granola bars and a sleeping bag and then, a sweater, and they got to this location. They said, "Okay, put everything in here and you get 5 items." And then they had for the whole weekend to go and do that. Bart is very inspirational to these students that he teaches. He now works for Skills USA and is a huge advocate in Texas for that. And I'm excited to hear it, and so I hope that you are too. So please clap your hands for Bart.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Aubrey. I appreciate that. Hopefully y'all can hear me and the mic's working pretty well. And I'll give you a fair warning, my brain's really scattered, so I hope you can follow along, and I hope I give you some vital information. But my slide, my presentation is 5 key practices to transform your program to a certification and job-ready focused dynasty. And dynasty is, I think, a fun word that we use for this presentation. But over the course of my career, we really have built an IT culture, an IT dynasty within my school district in Texas and all that we have done. But for us to get started, we got to get to know each other a little bit. So my question to you is, what do you call an overweight polar bear? An icebreaker. There you go. That's all you're going to get from me on that one. But howdy, my name is Dr. Bart Taylor. I've been in career and technical education for the past 20 years, and I've been an advocate and a member of Skills USA for 20 years of that time too. Like Aubrey said, I do wear many hats. I think I'm just down to 3 jobs right now, which isn't too bad. A lot of us work tirelessly all the time, but as educators, we're here to educate the hearts and minds of students for life, and to do that, it takes more than just the 9 to 5 going to work kind of job. We invest ourselves in these kids into the future. And so there's a lot of hats that you will wear in your career as an educator, and I'm just happy to do that. And we can list off accolades and things that we do, and it's weird to do that when you're on stage in front of people, but a dog that can't wag his own tail is a very sad dog. And so I've done a lot of things in my career, have a lot of experience, and so hopefully what I'm here to do is share whatever knowledge that I have with everybody, because the power of education and the power of collaboration is taking those great ideas that are happening in Texas or New York or California and bringing that back to your local school districts, bringing that back to your state, so all communities, all areas can benefit from the same knowledge, from the same programs that are happening, and that's what I just try to do. I will try to focus a little bit on community service. I am the 2019 National Award winner for the Carl D. Perkins Community Service Award, so I got that going for me too. I love community service, I love giving back, and I love taking the chance to teach our kids the technical skills that we need them to learn in the classroom, but how do you apply that outside of the classroom, not only in jobs, but in life, and that community service outreach is something that I find so vital and dear. So hopefully I won't forget to cover some of that. But topic number one, testimony of successful implementation of test out in my IT curriculum. So this is just going to be a brief timeline of what I've done as an IT educator over the past 20 years in the classroom. I'm no longer in the classroom. I just left in December to pursue different things. I did finish my doctorate at Texas A&M University, and so the doors kind of opened a little bit more. And so now I'm in a position to, spread these experiences and spread this knowledge across the state of Texas and across the nation in a different position. So I'm excited, but I'm still sad to get out of the classroom. It was a great time. But before I started teaching, I did come from the IT industry. I was managing an IT call center in Texas, down in College Station, Texas, and it was great. But I knew I had a different calling. As educators, we have that calling to serve, to teach others, and it takes a very special person to do that. And I knew that was in me. And so, luckily, when the job came about, looking for an IT teacher to teach A+ certifications at A&M Consolidated High School in little old College Station, Texas, I jumped on board. I was like, this is for me. It's meant to be. But when I took over 20 years ago, there wasn't much in an IT curriculum that was out there. So it was all do-it-yourself projects and lectures. Everything that I did in the troubleshooting industry in IT, I kind of just developed that. I'm like, if you're doing IT, you need to learn this stuff. And so I made up everything myself. And it was fun, trying to find old computers, getting to the university, get their old scrap computers, and putting everything together that I thought would be great to teach these kids what they needed to learn, and it was fun. It really was fun designing my own lessons and lectures. But the problem with your own lectures and lessons in IT is that y'all know that IT changes in an instant, and so keeping up to date with those lessons and lectures and projects, it's exhausting. And so I was looking for a curriculum, always looking for something that I could bring in the classroom. The best thing I did was I was building an IT culture at the school, and so that just meant IT was a very small portion of the school, but I knew the importance of IT. I think, by 2030, it's going to be one of the core skills that all people need to have in the United States and across the world is a foundation, a fundamental grasp of the knowledge of IT. And so I knew how important it was, and so I really spent time building that culture, building that mentality of the school district, saying, oh, I want to be a part of that IT program. And so we went from this little teeny tiny program to this really big, robust IT program just because of the culture and the mentality that we put into place there. I thought that was more important than really, a robust curriculum is very nice too, but having that mentality, that culture of kids wanting to be in the program for the right reasons was really vital and important. And so my do-it-yourself lectures and projects, backed with that certification, getting kids certified because, our administrators and everyone likes to see that certification point on there. It was difficult. At that time really was just the one goal of certification was getting kids CompTIA A+ and Network Plus at the time, and it was great. And so we were doing that. We were doing really well. And I'll throw my skills note as a side note in there. One thing with skills, it gave me a performance gauge because as an IT educator, I really had a tough time grasping that first year. Am I teaching the right things to kids? Are they really getting the skills that they need to learn out in the industry? I thought yes, but I didn't know the perceptions of other people. And so when I got involved in Skills USA, that was one way I got a performance gauge to evaluate my program among all the other programs in the state, in the area, and then in the nation. And so it was kind of cool. My first year out, we got 4th place in IT services in Skills USA in the nation. So I was like, I guess my little do-it-yourself curriculum was right, and I did something correct. It was pretty cool. But throughout the journey, with that IT culture, I got to redesign my lab and remodel the facilities because we opened a new high school, and so we really wanted to make our high school the IT mecca epicenter where kids want to come in and commute to. So I got to knock down walls and really design a floor plan and say, hey, this is what I want in my IT room. The only thing they denied me was I wanted raised floors so we can run cables underneath, so your floor panels. They didn't want to do that because I think that was going to be a $90,000 or $100,000 cost, and they just said no. And so it was really fun to design that. And the other thing I focused on was getting dual credit with my program. And so we started that with Blinn College in College Station. The university got on board a little bit, but I thought that was very important too. While kids are in the IT program working on certifications, having that dual credit, the actual college credit associated with my course was very important. And so all those things my lessons, my projects, everything put together, into the IT culture that I built, the remodel, everything. And so we had a great thing happening. But again, I always needed some kind of curriculum. As I was growing the IT culture and the program, when I did that redesign, I knew the offerings of IT was going to explode. And so I was going to have to hire some other educators. And so I hired a former student of mine to teach IT with me. And so with that, I wanted to make sure I have some curriculum that people can grasp onto, because they're not going to always be able to rely upon my do-it-yourself style. And so one of the first things that I saw was, Mike Myers' Total Seminars. Give him a little shout out. It was a good curriculum when it first came out, and it's still a good curriculum that's out there. I like Mike. I talk to Mike every day. He's actually down in Houston, Texas, and Total Seminars was really good stuff, and I liked it. They had great PowerPoints, they had good information, they had a good book for review, prepping you for the CompTIA A+, and that's where we were for a while, using some Mike Myers curriculum because that was updated and I didn't have to update lectures, and then still my do-it-yourself, my hands-on projects that I came up with, like creating web servers or all different things in the classroom. But, I think I still needed something more, and so as we, as educators, as we keep looking for what's better and what's great for our kids, that's when Test Out was coming out a little bit, and so I saw it and I was like, hey, this is really neat. I like it. I think some educators get on board because I like that facilitator role. And to me as an educator, I didn't like the facilitator role because I don't want to sit back and just let kids be on a computer-based curriculum on the computer. And so that was where I really wanted to integrate Test Out into who I am as an educator, into my classroom that fits my needs. And it worked. Just the way I laid it out and the way I presented it to the kids, it was a little struggle that first year, but when that expectation was set really high, and this is what I wanted to do, it worked out great because I mixed the Test Out with my do-it-yourself project. So all those hands-on still stayed there. But the cool thing when I was selling it to the kids, you got to have that student buy-in. I said, yeah, my projects that I design are really neat and fun, and they take several weeks to do. But the Test Out labs and the simulators get way more involved and way more in depth than I have ever done in my do-it-yourself projects. So we had a phenomenal IT program. Kids are getting certified left and right. I had a good curriculum, but Test Out made the curriculum even better because now we're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Those lab sims and everything that's in it really set the bar even higher, and so it was really neat. And then you add the certifications, the PC Pro, the Network Pro, Security Pro, all the different certifications that go with Test Out. It really upped the game, and I think it made our program even more. One of the things that we do brag about is my program is rated, well, was rated, I'm not there anymore, as one of the #1 IT programs in the nation to advance CTE. So we did set the bar high, the expectation was there, and so we were doing things correct. Squirrel moment. One thing I did do that I really enjoy, I think worked well in the classroom with the Test Out and my projects was in your downloadable lesson plans as an educator, the teacher resources, in those lesson plans there's focus questions. And so as a student was working on the Test Out curriculum, I think the best tip that I can give you for implementation in the classroom is I took those focus questions and gave it to each student as an online document. You need to answer this as you're going through this document because here's your focus questions, already laid out for you from Test Out. I didn't even have to think about it. Here's your focus questions, do your lesson, and then we'll come back to these questions after you answer them, because that's my debrief for the day. And we'll get into debrief and how we're going to do that. But those focus questions are there. So if you're not using that material, man, you better get on and look at that stuff. Using those focus questions, have it right there while the kid's doing Test Out on the second screen, they can go back and know the key points that they're looking for throughout that lesson. But throughout this whole 20 years, it was really building that culture and the IT growth was phenomenal, but what was even better was building that reputation of a program at the school. It just made what I do easier. Like Aubrey said, I got to take kids that live homeless on the street. Do you think the administration allows any teacher to go take kids to live homeless on the streets of Waco, Texas? No. But having a program that has that reputation, that has that high level of expectations, did they say, you even hesitate to tell me yes? I was like, hey, I'm going to go take kids that live homeless on the streets in Waco. Cool? The principal said, go for it. We believe in you, and all you could do, as long as the parents say okay, it's good. And the parents, they said, oh yeah, take my kids. And so it was cool. But having that program, having that growth, having that reputation is extremely important in any program. I think the next thing is looking at the perceptions of certifications and looking at that perception of what test out certifications look like in the industry. You know, just the ones off the top of my head, you know, the biggest one I've always looked at over the years, and it's one of the industry standards, is that CompTIA A+, CompTIA Network Plus, Security Plus, all the different things that are in CompTIA. Industry does like seeing that label on a student's resume, having that check mark of that CompTIA certification. It does look good, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. BICSI certification. I tried to add BICSI certification to my curriculum for many, many years. I didn't get it. I finally got a good contact with BICSI through National Skills USA, and we're going to incorporate that into a lot of what we do. But that certification's good. ETA, the Electricians Technology Association, they offer really good certifications and credentialing for your name. The Cisco certifications, those who are going that route. IC3, those who do that, I feel like my industry partners and people I've talked to, that's kind of dropped off a little bit, because I think Test Out's the one that's coming in saying, hey, this is the certification that everyone's getting. I like to be honest and transparent in all that I do. Do I think the Test Out certifications PC Pro has more clout than a CompTIA A+? No, but what it does prove is that a student has gone through a certification program, has gone through a curriculum of IT that shows that time and dedication and commitment into personal excellence and growth and learning. And so is the Test Out certification absolutely viable in industry? 100% yes. You know, if I get a kid that's PC Pro certified, like, number one, that better be top of your resume. This is an actual real-world certification that industry does recognize and support. I think what we just have to do as educators and administrators and everyone that's in this room is really spread the word about how important the Test Out certifications are and how well it really fits into what we do and how important it is for our students getting certified. I think the industry's perceptions, they like seeing these certifications. There's tons of them that are out there. If you have one, it just shows you were in an educational program and you can put that time in there to get it. I think the better thing about Test Out is that the PC Pros and all the certifications with that, it's that skill-based certification. We all know we can have kids study the book and the curriculum for A+ certification, never put a hand on a computer and go get A+ certified. And so industry does recognize and know that too. But the cool part with the Test Out certification, they're not just taking a knowledge test, they're clicking through the lab sims and they have to do that lab sim. So they actually got to prove that they have some of those skills in the simulation. So I think that's why the Test Out cert is gaining some more clout in the industry, and I like it. And I'm looking forward to having it grow and increase. Virtual labs versus hands-on, that was one thing I was hesitant about when I first had that curriculum in my class. I was like, how are these online lab assessments going to roll with my hands-on practice? And I think, to me, it was awesome. Like I said, when you have a kid, when I'm, was lecturing about DHCP or DNS servers, and then I never really got them to configure a DNS server as in depth as they do in the Test Out lab sims. I was like, holy goodness, this is great stuff. Like, the kids are in there actually doing these things, configuring the stuff in the simulators, and I thought it was just a wonderful complement to the curriculum that I had. And so taking that to the next level of other hands-on, my do-it-yourself applications, but really, the next level is that community service piece. As an educator, you have to know your own community. You got to know the organizations that are out there, the people that need help. And it's just another outlet for students to take the knowledge and skills that they're learning in your classroom to apply it in something in their life that really has an impact. I think when I was growing up, one of my teachers, I don't remember who it was, but they once said the measure of a true gentleman is getting to a place so you can give back. And so that always resonated in me because I've always wanted to get to a place where I can give back to the community. And so as a person that loves community service, get to know your community and get to know what's out there, because you never know when you'll have an opportunity to take something that your students are learning in your class and apply it into a community service project. That's when they get that experience. That's the stuff that they're going to learn. Do they remember that little DHCP lesson that we gave? No. They remember when we went out and did a homeless project. They remember when they went and configured. The homeless project came about. Students in my class, we kind of attend the same church, and there was an organization called Family Promise in our local area. And what that is an organization to help homeless families get back on their feet. But they had to stay at churches one week and another church another week, and they rotated between 8 different churches throughout the community. great organization, didn't have a home. The city said, hey, you do some great work. Here's an old elementary building. Why don't you use this as your headquarters and place for homeless families to stay? And so we're like, oh, this is great. You know, our school, we can get involved. We can go, you know, mow lawns, paint walls, clean up, whatever we need to do to help get this old elementary school habitable for these homeless families. And, you know, I was like, this is our community service project this year. This is what we're going to do. And so the students contacted the director and said, okay, we're here to do whatever you need. We're actually an IT program at Kinsall, you know, high school, and, you know, we just want to help wherever we can. And the director said, well, you wouldn't believe it, we just lost our grant for all IT services in our building. So whatever you can do as an IT program in our building, we would appreciate all of it. And so we just knew the heavens aligned and the stars said, this is your calling, this is a real deal. And so we applied for a $25,000 Lowe's grant with Skills USA. The kids wrote it up, kids presented it. We got $25,000. And so we're like, we're really going to do this. They needed a hard line ran to the building. We ran that line to the building. They needed all the cables in there restructured. We did the security cameras. We did the door locks. We did the fire alarm system, configured the small office, the servers, their network attached storage, all the different things. We configured just the office computers, homeless students, you know, homeless kids, they still got to go to school and do homework. So we gave laptops, configured Chromebooks and laptops. We had printers and everything hooked up. And so there was workstations throughout the whole building so kids can just do homework. People can go apply for jobs, work on resumes, all kinds of stuff. Anything you can think of IT within $25,000 we were able to do. And so this is what I'm talking about with getting outside of just the technical skills and lab sims in your classroom, really getting out to the community. Like this was the most phenomenal project we've ever taken on in 20 years as an IT educator, and it made a difference in the kids. But like Aubrey said, I didn't think the mission of homelessness really connected with them. And so I said, okay, we just fixed this whole homeless facilities. We did the IT infrastructure. Then I went and took them to live homeless on the street. So they had an impact and really understood the work that we just did. So when we finished that weekend, first they were mad. 2 weeks later, when I said, well, let's talk to the school board about why we went and lived homeless on the street. When they were able to articulate living homeless on the street back to the family promise mission thing that we did, doing the IT infrastructure, it really made a difference in their education. Like I said, are they going to remember that lesson on configuring a DHCP server? Yes, but they're really going to remember that community service experience about family promise and doing that IT infrastructure. So learn about your community. You know, the virtual labs are awesome, but go beyond that. Apply those skills that they're learning in those labs out into a project that's going to really give that impact in the classroom. This is a slide. These are some of the kids I took to live homeless on the street in Waco. But you know, when you grow your IT program, you have that reputation, you're going to have unlimited possibilities. Like I said, whatever I wanted to ask for at this moment in time in the classroom, I'm going to take kids to live homeless on the streets. You know, they don't question it. They just say go. And so it's really important to have that level of reputation in your program. The Skills USA notes. Test out in leadership and employability skills. We all hear the term soft skills that are out there, but they're no longer soft skills. If you call them soft skills, we're doing an injustice to your students. They are core skills. They're essential skills that all employees need. We have a framework in Skills USA that's based upon personal skills, technical skills, and workplace skills. I got a real quick video. I can explain it, but I think the video does a good job, so we'll play this to give you an idea of what I'm going to talk about.
We're proud to introduce to you the Skills USA framework, emphasizing personal, workplace, and technical skills, which will enable every student to achieve career success. This framework is valuable in overcoming two major obstacles we face in the 21st century. First, our skilled labor gap. We know that the most difficult to fill vacancies are for skilled trades workers. You see, the true ratio of jobs in our economy is 1 to 7. For every occupation that requires a master's degree or more, 2 professional jobs require a university degree, and there are over half a dozen jobs requiring a 1-year certificate or 2-year degree, and each of these technicians are in great demand. Yet according to recent surveys, more than 33% of employers have unfilled job openings. They simply can't find applicants with the necessary skills. These are good paying jobs too. In fact, Harvard Business School found that 27% of trained skilled professionals earn more than the average bachelor's degree recipient. Success in today's world depends on aligning a student's career with their skills and available job opportunities. Yet there is growing evidence of a skills gap in which many Americans are not receiving the hands-on training that is needed. The second obstacle we face is career readiness. When asked to rate the importance of applied skills to successful entry-level job performance, employers overwhelmingly report consistent responses across all three education levels. Research shows that most students are graduating deficient in teamwork, collaboration, professionalism, and work ethic. These most frequently reported applied skills, considered very important by industry, also include oral and written communication, social responsibility, critical thinking, and problem solving. In response to these two obstacles, Skills USA has created a framework that will give you, as teachers and advisors, a common language that will help students, parents, counselors, administrators, as well as industry to understand the value of Skills USA. Skills USA is integral to classroom instruction to showcase technical skills, to connect students to employers, and to teach employability skills that are validated by our best partners. Our students often share that Skills USA changed their lives, but they can't always verbalize what they have learned or how they are different. The language in our framework enables students to articulate to employers what skills they have developed and how that will benefit their potential employer. The first of three components is personal skills. These include a student's work ethic, professionalism, sense of responsibility, and self-motivation. Workplace skills focuses on teamwork, communication, decision-making, and leadership. Technical skills grounded in academics includes areas such as computer and technology literacy, service orientation, safety, and health. This trifecta of student success has been validated by multiple sources and research studies. The framework centers on industry demands and builds the foundation for relevant, intentional student learning and leadership development. This framework will create a common language nationally for what students gain through their involvement with Skills USA. It also provides a vision, enabling us to develop rich experiences, building these skills in all students. Through it, we'll be able to assess and compare student skill development nationally. The intentional guided instruction of framework skills will meet employers' needs and provide true career readiness. But the only way students will develop and use the common language is if we become intentional about its use. Skills USA continues to empower its members to become world-class workers, leaders, and responsible American citizens. You make a difference. Join us in placing our members on a pathway to a better life.
All right, I'm not here to sell you on Skills USA. I love Skills USA with all my heart and what we do for students. It's not about Skills USA. What I want to say is we have a framework that's phenomenal for all educators, all students, and everyone needs to learn these things. Your employability skills are essential skills that all industry is looking for. They actually care less about those technical skills that you're teaching in the classroom because they can give that to them. They want these foundations of essential skills, the soft skills, the core skills that are needed in all employees that industry is looking for. And if you like Skills USA, join. If you don't, you should still use this model. You don't have to use this cute little graphic, but it helps. But if you're not debriefing with your kids after a lesson or a project or a community service about these essential skills, you're doing your kids a disservice. They need a way, like we said, to articulate these essential skills and how they're learning it, so when they're interviewing for a job, when they're putting it on their resume, they can showcase that they learned responsibility, work ethic, that they can talk about decision-making and teamwork, planning, organization, and management. These essential skills, again, students need a way to articulate how they learn these essential skills so they can explain it to an employer so they can get that job. I did it as debriefs, summaries, conclusions at the end of all my lessons. So if I did a test out unit that day, I had those questions that were from the lesson plans. And so we had focus questions throughout the lesson. At the end of the lesson, when everyone was finished, we debriefed them, said, okay, this is what we learned in the lesson. And so we would pick out some of the personal skills. How does that DHCP lesson relate to our work ethic? And we would relate it to these essential skills. So debriefing your test out with essential elements, with these core academics, essential skills that kids need to be career ready is vital. And I think it's something that everyone needs to do. So Join skills if you want to, but if not, use this model, use this framework model of personal, technical, and workplace skills to help your students learn how they can articulate these essential elements that all industries looking for when they're applying for it. So it really is, again, a great way to debrief, to close out that lesson, or to talk about, a big overarching project, or plan that project. When we did the community service project with the homeless, we used this framework model and picked out the ones that we wanted to focus on. When we want to look at safety and health and service orientation and planning and organization and decision making, we can focus those questions and that learning from those projects and that hands-on work through this framework. So it really is a phenomenal way to debrief, a phenomenal way to structure your lessons and projects throughout the year. So employability skills are super important and really ties into the work of Test Out. Again, debrief or planning either way. I think my last topic, I think I have time, is just a little Skills USA plug, because what Skills USA has done, or Test Out has done with Skills USA is quite phenomenal. Here's a Skills USA 30-second
Skills USA
recap.
is a national organization serving more than 300,000 students annually through nearly 4,000 local chapters. An integral part of career and technical education, the Skills USA framework provides students with personal, workplace, and technical skills while building confidence and grit. With 100,000 members graduating annually who are job ready day one, Skills USA is the solution to shrinking our national skills gap. Join us in empowering students to become world-class workers, leaders, and responsible American citizens. We are Skills USA, champions at work.
So again, I do love skills and what we do because we have a basis of industry in all that we have in Skills USA. And I think that's really vital and important for kids to realize is that connection with industry and that support from industry. We're not just here for a competition. We're here to show what it means to be a good American citizen, to get out there and be a good employee and have those skills. But Skills USA, TSA, FFA, BPA, DECA, if you get into any of those CTSOs, you need to have that integrated in your program, some form, some fashion. The CTSO experience is a co-curricular experience. It's not extracurricular. We're not meeting as a Skills USA club after school. We're not meeting as a DECA club after school to learn these skills. We are integrating that into the curriculum. And if you're not up to date with Perkins 5, Perkins 5 is alive and out there, y'all. You got to understand that CTSOs are integrated in Perkins 5 very deeply and very heavily. And so you got to understand how Perkins 5 is implemented in your state and what it calls for, but CTSOs and support in CTSOs are all throughout. So you really got to get, if you're not in a CTSO, you got to get in one of them. I say Skills USA because I love what we do with kids. We have the industry support that's there, but you got to get involved in one of them. It just takes what you're learning in the classroom, the curriculum that they're doing in Test Out, and gives them another avenue of an enhanced learning experience that they're going to remember and grow from. It gives more relevant real-world experiences. And again, like I said earlier, that performance gauge for your program is very vital to me. Like, again, I didn't know if I'm teaching the right things or not, but skills and CTSOs help you give you that performance gauge to say, yes, I'm teaching what industry is looking for, and it's really great. Enhanced learning experiences, what kids get out of CTSOs is networking. They meet students of like-mindedness. They meet educators, industry people, and so that network, they're starting to build their professional network of people at an early age. And that's so important. Like everyone that you're going to meet here at this conference, that's your personal network. And so getting that network of people, even the travel, we're from Texas and it's a big state, y'all. Like it's quicker to get from East Texas to the Atlantic Ocean than it is to get from East Texas to West Texas. It's quicker to get from West Texas to the Pacific Ocean than it is to East Texas. It's quicker to get from North Texas to Canada than it is to get from North Texas to South Texas. It's a big state. And so when I say travel is important, just because we're traveling within the state of Texas, getting a kid out of the East Bumpkin cities in East Texas down to Corpus Christi or Houston, Texas, that travel experience is really vital. Teaching kids how to tip at a restaurant, teaching kids how to, sleep in a hotel and behave themselves and be responsible. That travel is really, really important. So get in a CTSO, that travel. And most of your CTSOs are going to teach them how to advocate for career and technical education, advocate for themselves. So the advocacy is important. But again, industry support. And then the biggest thing I think what we did this year with Test Out was Test Out is supporting our technical certification tests within our competition area. So kids are going into IT service contests, and one of their technical tests is they try to get their PC Pro certification. Same thing with the Internet Networking contest, the Networking Pro. Technical apps are doing the Desktop Pro. So all the different test outs that are out there, they are now involved in our contests. And so I think what sums it up best is this year in our post-secondary skills contest, kids that are in 2-year colleges, we gave them the PC Pro for their IT contest this year. And I had a young man pass it. He just looked up and had this look on his face and said, "Did I really just earn a certification?" And I said, "Yes, you did. You are absolutely 100% PC Pro certified. And I can print it out for you right here and give you the certification." And he just almost broke down in tears. He said, "I got to give this to my boss. I get a big raise with a certification. This is going to put more food on my family's table." And like just that realization of what that certification meant to this young man and his family and his career meant the world to me. And so having test out support in our CTSOs, in Skills USA, changed everything this year. I can't wait for what we're going to see next year. The benefit is that everyone's going to want to get on the test out boat because it is phenomenal curriculum. It's really good stuff. And if all the kids are getting this learning, getting this education from test out, we have a great foundation and a fundamental thing for all IT kids to move forward after that. We know where they're at. We know what they're learning. It's going to be a really great partnership and a really great thing. So that's my 5 key points. I know I ran through everything quick. There's a lot of stuff that's out there. So I would love to open it up for questions. If you have specific things, if you want to talk skills with me later, I'm more than happy to talk Skills USA with you. But ultimately, building that IT program, that strength of a program is really what I'm all about. So questions? Sir?
Not really a question, but more of a comment. How many of you, just think about this, how many of you put more emphasis on learning DHCP than you do at having your student show up at class on time? Okay? Because in reality, I've talked to many of my businesses, and they say, I ask them, I said, what can I teach the kids and bring them to you? Just teach them to be on time.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them to have respect. And teach them to be able to do what they're told. I said, well, what about DHCP or all that other stuff?
Yeah.
Because I can teach them that when they need to know it.
Right. There's a definitely shift in today's society with the millennial generation and the younger generations that are coming out that are entitled and need those basic foundations. You're going to see a lot of conferences coming up lately, and if you haven't done so already, one of the bigger things now is the kids go to adulting sessions where they learn how to change a tire, when they learn how to balance a checkbook, when they had to learn how to do these skills that we have inherently learned from our parents and growing up as young adults. And so it's really important. But yeah, I think a lot of us have a grading system. Like in Texas, we had one of our major grades was a workforce assessment each 6 weeks. And were you on class on time, tardies? That took a big point off your thing. And so it's a self-rating and a teacher-rated guidance sheet that are all those essential employability skills too. And you're graded on being on time, showing up, being respectful, for sure. Other questions?
Yeah, I'm curious about your project. What was it called? The Family Promise?
Yeah.
Where can I get more information on that? Exactly what you guys
Family
did?
Promise, I think it's not there's a couple, I don't think it's super national, but I know there's other Family Promises that are out there, but I'll be more than happy to provide you with whatever information I can get. There's multiple associations that are organizations like that in all communities. You just got to know what's available in your community and what's out there, and just,
Okay.
But yeah, I'll be more than happy to share that with you for sure.
2 skills plugs too before I go. First of all, I had a kid competing in networking this year. He didn't have a CCNA. He had his test outs, and he won.
Nice.
So that was pretty proud. And on the professionalism, I had another kid compete in skills this year. Very talented kid, but he got in the competition, noticed someone was using something very old, and actually told the guy, hey, you need to da-da-da-da-da. And he lost 100 points for professionalism. So I pull him aside, talk to him about that stuff. So yeah, the skills is great stuff. You got a chance to get involved, definitely do it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So I taught a high school class last year, and it was really interesting, and I'm not sure how you solve this. When I went into the class, I said, hi, I'm your teacher, and da-da-da-da. And I said, so what are your goals when you get done with high school? And one of the kids goes, I'm going to be the director of a IT group. And another kid goes, and I'm going to be the director of this. And I was like, I don't think so. Oh, no, we are really good at what we do. I'm sure you are, but you're not going to be the director. Oh, no, you don't understand. We are. And it's like, how do you set the expectation correctly? I mean, I know that they're really smart.
As educators, you have to be honest and transparent with our kids. Yeah, I want them to dream big. Disney, dream big, be who you can be. However, I want to give you real tangible expectations of what you can do in this world. I've been in many arguments with parents because I told their kid, yeah, you can't go to MIT. Well, you might could. I want you to apply, but I also want you to apply at Texas State Technical College because you're going to get in there and you're going to learn the vital skills that you need to get a job. Like, yeah, dream big, but let's have a reality check. That's what we need to do as educators, is have that reality check with kids and have the bravery and the grit of what it takes to tell kids the honest truth sometimes. Yes, we need to tell them to dream big and to always wonder and be inspired, but at the same time, you got to give them real world expectations and something that they can grasp while they're trying to get here.
This is for, it was you with getting the students to come in on time. I teach in the higher ed, and in my syllabus, I tell them that if they're more than 3 minutes late, they may find the door locked. And this semester, I started embarrassing them, and I would look at them when they would come in the door and say, "Where are my donuts?" And this semester, I got 6 dozen donuts and about 2 dozen cookies and some brownies and some other things. And I also take off points at the end of the semester for being late to class. If they're late 3 times, that's an unexcused absence. If they have more than 3 unexcused absences, then their grade goes down 5 or 10%. And if it's continual, then they may end up repeating the class. And in the last 3 years, I have had less and less people coming in late to class, and I've had less people leaving early from class, because I had a problem with that as well. And I tell them, you leave early from class, you're being marked absent. And I tell them that, I give them the example of my nephew. He was working for Academy Sportswear, and he was generally sick. He was coughing up stuff, and he had a doctor's excuse, and they still fired him. So I use that, and yeah, I gained a little weight from 6,000 donuts.
Telling you, adulting sessions for these kids right now are really, really big. They just need to learn all those essential skills. All right, any other final questions? Well, thank you all so much for being here. If you have other questions, I have cards and you can come up and ask me stuff directly. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you.